Hey YouTube, Week here, bringing you all an update to my legendary Fisherman Yugioh deck profile for January 2023. Wanted to update the deck. We did get a few cards that work pretty well with Umi in the Darkwing Blast Yu-Gi-Oh! Booster set, and modify a few things with the deck. I really do feel like Instant Fusion might be hit on the next ban list, so not running it in the deck, but I am using a good amount of the cards from the Duels from the Deep booster set, along with some pretty awesome normal monsters that I got that just work very well with the theme of the legendary Fisherman deck. And the more I worked on it, the more I made changes, the more I wanted to do an update to the actual deck profile. So let's go ahead and get started. So for the actual legendary Fisherman monsters, I'm running one copy of Legendary Fisherman. While Umi's on the field, it's unaffected by spell effects, cannot be targeted for attacks, but does not prevent your opponent from attacking you directly. Just one copy of the original Legendary Fisherman, two copies of Legendary Fisherman 2. Its name becomes Legendary Fisherman while on the field or in the graveyard, and while Umi is on the field, this card's unaffected by other monster effects, and if this face-up card is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect while in its owner's control, you can add one level 7 water monster from your deck to your hand. So having more search power can also give you a search for the Legendary Fisherman 3, which I'm running one copy of. It cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from the hand by attributing one Legendary Fisherman. When it's special summoned, you can banish all monsters your opponent controls. Also, this card cannot attack this turn. It cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, also unaffected by spell and trap effects, and once per turn, you can return as many of your opponent's banished cards as possible to their graveyard, and if you do, the first battle or effect damage your opponent takes this turn becomes doubled. So this is more of a final boss Legendary Fisherman, but all three work very, very well together with their numbered ratios in the deck. I would say Legendary Fisherman 2 is one of the better ones, just being able to be unaffected by monster effects, and with that just being easier to summon onto the field since it is unaffected by those monster effects and can have its level lowered thanks to the Legendary Ocean. As for some of the other cards, like I said before, normal monsters are a big part of the deck. So I'm running 2 Karyushin and 2 Crazy Fish. I like Crazy Fish just for the level 4 monster being a fish 1600 attack point monster, and Karyushin with all of its many different cards that we run in the deck. I just felt it very much fits the theme of the Legendary Fisherman deck. So 2 and 2 for both of these. We're running cards that can set them up pretty easily, like the Karyushin's Dark Reef for the special summon, and then just being able to give you all of these resources onto the field, and then being able to use both of them for many of our different extra deck plays. For the actual bigger boss monsters in the deck as well, I run 1 Mega Fortress Whale and 1 Citadel Whale. If this card's in your hand or graveyard, you can tribute 2 water monsters to special summon this card from your hand, and you can only use this effect of Citadel Whale once per turn. If this card is special summon, you can set 1 Sea Stealth attack directly from your deck, and once per turn when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a water monster you control and no other cards, quick effect, you can negate the activation and destroy that card. And with Mega Fortress Whale, if Umi is on the field, you can activate this effect. Your water monsters can attack directly this turn. Your opponent's battle phase, quick effect, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, destroy it, and if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can either add to your hand or special summon 1 water warrior monster from your deck or graveyard. You can only use each effect of Mega Fortress Whale once per turn. So these cards can be searched out with the option of your Legendary Fisherman 2. If you don't go for Legendary Fisherman 3, you can search either one of these out, being both level 7 monsters, having more of a specific playstyle with both, having more of a defensive one with Citadel Whale since it's able to search out your Sea Stealth attack, and Mega Fortress Whale being able to go on the offensive, making it so all your monsters can attack directly. I also run 3 copies of Doom Kraken. If Umi's on the field, quick effect, you can target 1 water monster you control, except for Doom Kraken, and 1 monster your opponent controls. Special summon this card from your hand and return that monster you control to the hand, and if you do, destroy that opponent's monster. And when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can return this card to the hand. If you do, negate the attack. You can only use each effect of Doom Kraken once per turn, but this is more of a monster that can, return your resources back to your hand. You have plenty of ways to return some of the normal monsters you have back to your hand, and then just re-special summon them back out again, and being able to destroy your opponent's own monsters with the, awesome power of Doom Kraken, kind of going off of the theme of Mako Tsunami's deck, being able just to take that resource away from the depths of the ocean. We're also running 3 copies of Electric Jellyfish. With this card, you can send Umi from your hand, deck, or face on the field to the graveyard to special summon 1 water monster from your hand. When your opponent activates a monster effect or spell effect while Umi is on the field, quick effect, you can negate that effect. Then you can make this card gain 600 attack and defense. You can only use this effect of Electric Jellyfish once per turn. This one plays more off of the fact that it helps with the actual spell effect. I believe the original Giant Jellyfish, for some reason, was unaffected by, spell effects in the anime. I may be wrong wrong, but it sounds pretty familiar if that's how it worked. But it's more of a setup just like that, and being able to use Umi as a resource with all the many ones that we run in the deck. For some of the one-ofs from the Darkwing Blast booster set, I run one Infernal Queen Salmon and one Yugioh of the Aqua. You get more of a level adjustment and setup with Umi on the field with Yugioh of the Aqua, and being able to, when Infernal Queen Salmon is normal or special summon, to special summon one fish normal monster from your hand or deck onto the field. And then if this card is destroyed by battle, or if its possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon any number of Vile Spawn Salmon tokens, fish water, with attack 0 and defense 0. You can only use each effect of Infernal Queen Salmon once per turn. So you have a target with Crazy Fish using your Infernal Queen Salmon, being able to special summon that fish normal monster onto the field as just an additional resource and get all of those tokens. And with Yugioh, with it, if only Umi is on the field, you can special summon that monster in defense position if it has a level from your graveyard. And then you can banish this card from your graveyard to target one Umi in your graveyard and add to your hand. Having more of the recycle power, I was considering running more Yugioh. You can even go full power with either one. If you want more of a recovery resource option, you can take out the Infernal Queen Salmon for another copy of a Yugioh, or vice versa. If you want to go for more of the monster spam that this card can do, you can take out the Yugioh for it. The last of the monsters that I run in the main deck is just 2 copies of Warrior of Atlantis. You can discard this card to the graveyard to add 1 a Legendary Ocean from your deck to your hand. So it's a very important part of the deck. So just having another searcher in the deck, I considered running 3 copies of this card, but just for the fact that it's only a search for it, you could potentially drop 1 copy of Legendary Fisherman 2 to add a 3rd copy of Warrior of Atlantis into the deck. But once again, just player preference with that. Moving on now to the spells, I run 3 copies of Fish Sonar. You add 1 level 7 or lower monster from your deck to your hand that mentions Umi or is a water normal monster. Then if Umi is on your field, you can special summon 1 water normal monster from your deck. You can only activate 1 Fish Sonar per turn. So you have the option to special summon any of the water normal monsters I mentioned, and also just search out plenty of other cards like Legendary Fisherman or any of the whale boss monsters. So very, very useful as a search and then special summon setup. Being one of the more important cards of the deck, I'm also running 3 copies of Legendary Ocean. This card's always treated as Umi, and all water monsters in the field gain 200 attack, and also the level of all water monsters in both players' hands and on the field are reduced by 1. So with this card, you have the option of just being able to normal summon out your Legendary Fisherman, since you have this card set up. With it, it's also unaffected. Remember, the original Legendary Fisherman will be unaffected by the Legendary Ocean's power boost, but still having the option to reduce the level in your hand to just then normal summon out the Legendary Fisherman monsters is a big help. For more cards counting as Umi on the field, we're also running 3 copies of Sea Stealth 2. Its name becomes Umi while on the field or in the graveyard. Your opponent cannot target water monsters you control with non-water monster effects, and at the start of the battle phase, you can special summon from your hand or graveyard 1 monster that mentions Umi or 1 water normal monster in defense position, but destroy at the end of the battle phase. You can only use this effect of Sea Stealth 2 once per turn, but more setup and protection for yourself, but also being able to have another card in the field count as Umi also gives you more of a resource since it's also in the graveyard, meaning you can recycle it back into your hand as well with cards like Yugioh of the Aqua. I also run 2 copies of Fury of Karyushin. It's a searcher for Torrential Tribute, and also being able to protect your own monsters by banishing it from the graveyard if a water monster you control be destroyed by a card effect, which means it comes into play with the Torrential Tribute setup. So you can then just have this card be a banish for that search after you add it to your hand, so you're ready to destroy any of your opponent's monsters they may try and set up. With the last spell being 1 copy of Ready Fusion. Like I said, I'm not running Instant Fusion in the deck. Too big of a fear, and with Ready Fusion, we have 2 targets to search out for the special summon. If you want to run an additional copy of this card, you can try reducing the number of Sea Stealth 2, but still, I'm a big fan of the special summon power of this card, so I just like it of the 1 of resource. Moving on now to the traps, I'm running 3 copies of Karyushin's Dark Reef. You send 1 face-up Umi you control to the graveyard to special summon up to 2 monsters with different names from your hand and or deck that mention Umi or are water normal monsters in defense position. Then if your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon any number of level 6 or lower water normal monsters from your hand and or deck until the end of the next turn. After this card resolves, you cannot special summon except for water monsters, and you can activate 1 Karyushin's Dark Reef per turn. We have plenty of normal monsters to special summon off this card, and just giving you another way to quickly get out your Legendary Fisherman onto the field, depending on which one you have, or even just any of your monsters with different names that mention Umi, so you have all of these available resources to use with this trap. And that's definitely why we're running 3, because you can just swarm the whole field with monsters using just this card. I also run 2 copies of Sea Stealth Attack. While this card is activated, you can activate 1 Umi from your hand or graveyard while Umi is in the field zone. This card gains these effects once per turn. You can banish 1 water monster you control until the end phase of this turn. Face-up spell traps you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, even if this card leaves the field. And at the start of damage step, if your water monster whose original level is 5 or higher battles an opponent's monster, destroy that opponent's monster. So you have more of a protection for your own cards on the field, but being able just to quickly set up the Legendary Ocean as well gives you more of a quick setup. Since this card's name is always treated as Umi, it can be the search needed off of your Sea Stealth Attack. I also run, to finish off the main deck, 3 copies of Torrential Tribute. This is the destruction card that can really wipe out your opponent's field by protecting your own with cards like Fury of Karyushin. So just another good searchable resource in the deck to keep your opponent on their toes on what they might want to summon out, because then you can just use Torrential Tribute to completely wipe out their field. That is it for the main deck. Now moving on to the X deck. There really isn't any monster that particularly ties to the Legendary Fisherman deck, so we're going for more of a generic extra deck. 1 copy of Abyss Dweller, along with 1 copy of number 103, Ragna Zero, along with 1 copy of Bahamut Shark, and 1 copy of Totally Awesome. Some of the more generic water monsters, since there are cards in the deck that lock us into water, we can at least run these and have more of a playstyle for Graveyard Shutdown, being able to use Bahamut Shark to summon out Totally Awesome, and Ragna Zero for the different attack that your opponent's monsters may have to then destroy them. For some other Xyz monsters, also 1 copy of number 4 Stealth Kraken, 1 Stealth Kraken Spawn, and also 1 copy of Divine Arsenal Zeus for being able to overlay over the Xyz monsters we run in this deck and having more of a loop playstyle with both of these Stealth Krakens. For the Link monsters, I run 2 copies of Miss Starboy for the water attribute boost for them, and also being able to recycle water monsters when this card leaves the field, and also weakening fire monsters. So working well if we do have a fire monster with our opponent having that different attack, and then being able to have the Ragna Zero destroy that card on the field also. I also run 1 copy of Marine Cess Coral Anemone for more special summon of water monsters, 1 area, the Water Charmer Verdant, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and also 1 Apollosa, Bow of the Goddess, with the fusion monsters in the deck being 1 copy of Rare Fish and 1 Sea Monster of Theseus for the ready fusion targets to summon out. And then as for some of the combos in the deck to rely on, the Fish Sonar Search can definitely help if you have Umi set up that much more quickly, whether it's off of a search of cards like Warrior of Atlantis, and being able to set up that card on the field, you can then activate your Fish Sonar to add 1 level 7 or lower monster from your deck to your hand. And then with that card, also with it reducing the level of all water monsters in both players' hands, you could add the Citadel Whale to your hand, and then using the effect of Fish Sonar, if Umi's on the field, to special summon a water or normal monster from your deck, you could special summon out your Karyushin, and then with that, still not having your normal summon, the level reduced of Citadel Whale, putting it at level 6, you can then tribute out your Karyushin to summon out this card onto the field. You can even go for the 2 water monster tribute to special summon this card with this play, and if it's special summon, you get the Sea Stealth Attack, so you can either normal summon this card out and have that bigger boss monster on the field, or you can use the Karyushin special summon, and then if you have the additional water monster in your hand, be your normal summon onto the field. That could be the Legendary Fisherman, which then with this card also, if this face-up card is destroyed by battle, you have the search, but then if you already had the Citadel Whale searched out from the Fish Sonar, that can tribute the 2 for the special summon of your Citadel Whale, allowing you to also set up your Sea Stealth Attack with that search, giving you that trap ready to go to either protect your Umi on the field and also make it so your opponent cannot attack into your own water monsters to destroy them. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Like I said, I love the new support that we got. Definitely does help. And there are so many ways to build the Legendary Fisherman deck, but this is just one of my takes that I'm definitely having a lot of fun with. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Twig out.